I'd like to speak to outside law enforcement today and discontinue this conversation until I speak to law, please, if you could, please.
Fine, sir.
I am not,
Sure.
I am not
Mr.
on
Kelsey?
I am not on this sentence
Okay.
5 years, 4 months, and 18 days to have an evaluation of mental health, period. You understand what I'm saying? The only prison sentence I have is, now please hear me out this time, I don't even have a prison sentence. So before I get rude, you keep pausing it, muting it all you want. You can still see my mouth. I have no sentence. I would like to please respect
We will let courts
you
decide
are wrong.
that.
You are holding a man hostage.
Gentile.
I am held kidnapped. I do
Gentile.
not have okay. I have no sentence.
All right.
Goodbye.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You might recognize this man, and that's because we played those 2 original hearings a year ago, almost to this date. Now, his first hearing was on 2/8/2022. His second was 4/6/2022. And now he's back June 6, 2024, and he is saying the same story. We're going to take a flashback to the past and watch both of those hearings. You may have already seen them. There's close to 80,000 views. If you have, fast forward to the end. With that, I'll let you, well, with that, we'll jump in.
Your name and DOC number.
My name is Donato C. Gentile, and my the DOC number I had on the sentence that I was originally sentenced on, lawfully in the state of Louisiana, is 610610.
Thank you. Just real quick, do you have your revocation questionnaire?
Yeah, I have this. It's revocation hearing, parole hearing acknowledgement receipt. But that is it. And I have this piece of paper and this paper. That's it. That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Kelsey.
We're going to put a copy of that parole revocation questionnaire on the screen for him. Can you see that on the screen, the parole revocation questionnaire?
Yes, I can, sir.
Can you see where you refuse to sign it? Can you see that?
Yes, but that is because I'm not in. What is it? First off, the sentence that they say that I have, I do not have, sir.
Right. I'm just saying this is, you refuse to sign this question. No,
But I wouldn't have signed that because that goes along with the stipulation that they have of the sentence that I supposedly have on it.
Okay. All right. Let me read some information to the record. We're here for parole revocation parole revocation hearing. I'll read some rule violations. You can plead guilty, not guilty, guilty with a statement, or not guilty with a statement. Then we'll ask you some questions. You can respond at the end. We'll make a vote. You understand the process?
Good enough.
Okay. Mr. Donato Gentile, DOC number 610610. Rule number 2. You failed to report to your parole officer in July, August, September, and October. How do you plead?
Not guilty. I did not have the sentence that they say I was not.
Okay, wait. Just a not guilty or guilty. We're going to discuss it. We're going to give you all the time to talk. Okay. Right now, we're going to ask you for guilty, not guilty, guilty with a statement, or not guilty with a statement. Okay.
Not
so you
guilty
say
with a statement.
not guilty with a statement. All right, we're going to get back. Number 3, you absconded supervision and your whereabouts were unknown until you were arrested on 10/13/21 at Dallas County, Texas Sheriff's Office. You did not obtain written permission from the parole office before leaving the state of Louisiana, traveling or living in the state of Louisiana. How do you plead to that?
Not guilty with a statement.
Not guilty with a statement. Okay. You failed to obtain and provide proof of gainful lawful employment despite having an employment placement through the JRI Exit 318 program. How do you plead?
Not guilty with a statement.
Not guilty with a statement. Okay. Number 7. You failed to respond regarding an update on your psychiatric evaluation 7/8/21 and 7/9/21, whether you wanted to transfer your parole down south. You were further advised that the Exit 318 team could help you. How do you plead?
Not guilty with a statement.
Okay.
It's right on here.
Number 8, on 6/15/2021, you refused to go to Brentwood Mental Health Hospital. Brentwood was unable to provide care, so you were referred to Shreveport Behavioral Health on 6/21/21. You failed to make contact and answer calls to schedule your assessment. How do you plead?
Not guilty with a statement.
Okay. You failed to register with the fire marshal on your simple arson charge. You failed to participate in JR Exit 13. You were ultimately discharged from 318 on 7/20/21 before the 6-month completion period. How do you plead?
Not guilty with a statement.
Okay. Number 9, on 6/28/2021, you requested to see your court records and documents. You're instructed to report first Thursday of July. You failed to report after 8/28/2021. Visits to approved listed residents in JR Exit 318 housing were not possible because you moved sometime around 6/28/2021 without prior permission from your parole officer. You failed to provide change of residence. How do you plead?
Not guilty with a statement.
Okay, and you never made any payments towards your parole supervision fees. Your payments began 8/1/2021, and you were $189 in arrears. How do you plead?
Not guilty with a statement.
Okay, now, do you, can you read right, sir?
Yes, sir.
And did you request appointed counsel at your preliminary hearing?
I had, the parole officer brought a public defender up with somebody, but she tried to show me paperwork that was completely false and wrong.
Okay.
So I
So
said,
you,
no, I
you
cannot.
didn't, you said, okay, so you didn't want one. Okay,
Nope.
just want to make sure.
Nope.
You didn't want counsel is what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't need any more of a relocation or a continuation of this. I want to get this done today so I can leave today, please.
Yes, sir. Well, would you answer Ms. Cheryl Renatza, please?
Thank you,
Good morning, Mr. Gentile.
ma'am.
My name is Cheryl Renatza. Your case has been assigned to me, so I'll start out asking you some questions. Now, you were released on good time supervision. Is that correct?
Ma'am, well,
Yes or no?
I was released because on a sentence that I didn't have, ma'am.
No, you were released on good time supervision on June the 11th of last year, 2021.
What is the sentence that you had me in the Department of Corrections for Louisiana, ma'am?
For the crime,
Yes.
production or manufacture of Schedule 2 methamphetamines and simple arson.
What is the court that I received that sentence in, please? Because I can't get anybody to give me that information.
Well, let me just, I believe that the parole officer gave you his card so you could come to the office
Ma'am,
and look at all the paperwork, and you didn't show up.
ma'am, I did show up. The video will show that I did. She took fingerprints from me and I left. Now, what I want to state it for the record, what court I received a 5-year, 4-month, and 18-day sentence on, if you could, please. Because I've been unable to find any paperwork that says legally, officially in the state of Louisiana, I have that type of sentence. Or that I was sentenced in front of a Judge Schwartz, which I never was. I was in front of Judge Perkins in 2012. My ID number is 610610. That's from 2012. If I got sentenced 9/25/19, there's the same exact day I saw St. Tammany.
St. Tammany, yeah, St. Tammany.
But that is
You
not
were
the sentence.
sentenced September 25th, 2019.
Ma'am, I was in front of the parole board then. I haven't been in front of a judge in Louisiana since 2012, ma'am. And any judge, any courtroom, anywhere in the United States. They gave me 2 months more and I was supposed to leave 11/27/2019. I never did. I went from St. Tammany Parish to Cottonport and then the Hunts. They gave me a rap sheet that had the same ID number and same different time on it for 2 different charges. Simple arson is not a felony. You don't get 5 years, 4 months, and 18 days. I was never sentenced.
Hey, look, we're not the sentencing authority here.
But I'm not saying.
So I'm showing, excuse me, sir. I'm showing you were in the St. Tammany Parish Jail in March 2013, which is probably the conviction you're speaking of. You were transferred to Hunt July of that year. Then you went to, it says Rayburn.
I went to Rayburn first.
For a few, yeah, and then back to Hunt. And then you were on supervision. Then you absconded.
Ma'am, I did not
And you were revoked.
Ma'am, that was, and then what sentence was that right there?
And
For 5 years,
you were
4 months, 18 years
absconded to Oklahoma.
All right, so is
So
that?
I'm not here to debate whether or not you're on
But ma'am,
supervision. Louisiana says you are, sir.
But ma'am, I would like to see the minimus of the court that I got sentenced in for 5 years, 4 months, 18 sentence, please.
your parole officer had that information for
No,
you
she
and you
didn't,
did
ma'am.
not show up.
Everything is on camera.
Sir,
Ma'am,
I'm not here to argue with
But ma'am,
you.
I'm arguing my freedom because I am not supposed to be on this type of sentence. I don't have
Okay,
this.
well, let me ask you this. Let me
Okay.
ask you this.
Thank you.
You were supposed to, whether or not you believe you're on supervision, Louisiana says you are, and that's what
But
I'm going
Louisiana
with.
cannot produce.
You were supposed to go to the
Ma'am.
behavioral health center. Why didn't you
Ma'am,
go?
I did go, I went to Brentwood, it shows on camera, I sat in a little room, I filled out the questionnaire, I talked to a doctor or a specialist, and they said there was nothing they could do for me there. So I went and made another counseling appointment. I went to LSU where they pumped me full of intravenous drugs and threatened to shoot me up with medications I did not need. That's also on video. Ma'am. I would like to speak to outside law enforcement today and discontinue this conversation until I speak to law, please, if you could, please.
Fine, sir.
I am not,
Sure.
ma'am, I am not
Mr.
on this
Kelsey?
I am not on this sentence for
Okay.
5 years, 4 months, 18 days. and I
Okay,
want it
thank you.
all
So
recorded
you
that
want,
I don't
so
have-
you
I
want to
don't-
okay, so you want to discontinue this, so we'll continue this hearing.
Oh,
We'll-
outside
we'll-
law enforcement here today, please. I'm
we'll-
held,
we're
held
here
against
to
my
continue-
will. I should not have been here. I
Okay,
do not have
we'll
a 5
continue
year.
this hearing until a later
Thank you,
date.
sir. Have a good
Okay?
day.
Okay, thank you. It is
I'm not supposed to
8:42
be
and we'll
here.
adjourn
I
it.
want to go. There is no sense.
Cato will continue this hearing. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to fast forward 2 months. So from 2/8/2022 to 4/6/2022, and Miss Renata is back on the board. Let's see if there's a change. Let's go.
All right, good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Gentile, how are you today?
Yes, ma'am.
You okay?
I'm glad to be here this morning so we can finally get this situation straightened out.
Okay, so let's just, let me just read some information in the record first. Would you tell us your name and DOC number?
Donato Carol Gentile. The only DOC number I have in Louisiana is 2012, from the year 2012, 610610.
So I have in my record. Thank you, sir. And I saw you back in February, but let me just reintroduce myself. My name is Cheryl Renatza, and Ms. Pearl Wise, you should recognize her as well. Seated to my left is Bonnie Jackson.
Ma'am?
Now, Mr. Gentile, we saw you back in February, and you asked that the hearing be stopped. And we requested a mental health evaluation at that time, and I believe that's why you're there at Hunt. And so before we proceed, well, let me just read into the record. At that time, back in February, I read all the allegations of violating your parole. I read all those out. You pled not guilty to every one of those. So before we get started and get into those details, we'd like to hear from Dr. Fleming. Did you expect to have counsel here today?
Yeah, ma'am, just briefly, if you wouldn't mind. I just got this paperwork of this hearing yesterday, which is fine, because I don't want any more delays. But I don't even have a prison sentence of 5 years, 4 months, and 18 days to have an evaluation of mental health, period. You understand what I'm saying? The only prison sentence I have is, now please hear me out this time, is from St. Tammany Parish. It was a 10-year sentence for Schedule 1, 2, and 3. I have never received in front of a judge a sentence of 5 years, 4 months, and 18 days, ever, in any bit of Louisiana. The only sentence I got out of Judge Perkins in St. Tammany Parish. That was all over the news. My meth lab work was all over the news. You call covering the PDs. I have no sentence to be here right now of that sentence. Not one. Now, if that sentence were true, just one thing to point out, I would not have a 610 prison number. I went in front of St. Tammany Parish Parole on 9/25/19 to end my 10-year sentence. And now, even if I did have that 5 year, 4 month, 18 days, but I don't, for the few stipulations that I would have gotten anyways, 6 months would have be time served. I have issue with PREA problems with Ms. Fleming from when I was here last time. I tried making my parole officer, that wasn't even my parole officer, Julie Belkis, aware of that. I told her the other day, she makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to be around her. You can't put a man, even if I was going to stay here or need the evaluation, in a position like that. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to put myself in that position. I wouldn't want to be
See what you're saying, but But, you know, we can only go on the records that are given to us by the Department of Corrections.
But
That's-
you're the, but
So,
you're the
so for
parole
you
board.
to take up that issue, that's a whole different process, not here today. All right, so,
Ma'am, you don't have
my
a commencement
understanding
order for this
that
prison.
based on the information that you've said today, you refused to sign the parole revocation questionnaire. So my question was, I believe you indicated you had retained counsel, or do you have appointed counsel?
Ma'am, I don't need counsel because I don't have a prison sentence that is legal in Louisiana of 5 years,
All right,
almost
it's
18
not-
days.
All right, that's not why we're here today,
But ma'am, what is
to
the
make that
sentence?
determination, sir.
If I may, what are the charges that you're seeing me for now?
I will, well, let me read the, let me see, let me get
The
back to that.
the initial charge is to put me in prison.
Okay, it's production or manufacture of Schedule 2 methamphetamine, simple arson.
Okay, now, what
You were
parish is that
released-
from?
were released from prison June 11th, 2021. Your expiration date is
Okay.
November of 2024.
Ma'am, what parish was that? You should say, what parish did I receive that sentence out of?
Yeah, I don't have that information.
But that's where it's all false.
This is a violation. All I have is information pertaining to the
Lady,
violation.
please, well, then can I beg a single second for a conversation? Could you please, if you have reason for me to be here, records, classification, evidence should have verification of that sentence, correct? Just before it gets, because this is what happened last time, and it's not right. I don't have a sense to be here, Warden. It's, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Listen to Ms. Ronaldo.
This is gonna go the same way it did before, and as far as my education state, because I know I'm in the right, I didn't do anything wrong, it's not right. You know what I mean?
Let's get through this and then we'll get together after this, okay?
How is it possible this has to go to the roof? You know what I'm saying?
The board has nothing to do with your time
A
computation.
parole board, they should have my sentence
Donato, do
there.
you want this to stop now?
Go ahead, let the
Okay,
parole
let the
board
board
speak,
finish,
or you
all
gonna-
right?
you gonna
Let the board
exit.
finish.
And after you explain to me what, though, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm missing something. Thank you very much. Okay, ladies, I apologize for the inconvenience.
Yes, sir. We appreciate that. So as I was saying, when we met the last time in February, on February the 8th, you pled not guilty to the allegations of the violations. Is that still your plea?
Yes,
Yes?
yes, ma'am.
All right, well, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Wise for her questions.
Well, at this time, may we hear from the medical director, any input you have, as to, Mr. Gentile?
So Mr. Gentile, as he stated, as the board knows, was here at Elaine Hunt back in June of 21. During that time, similar to what he is saying now, that he does not have a prison sentence, that he does not have charges, that was at issue during that sentence as well, to such a degree that we had a lot of difficulty doing his discharge plan, because he would not sign forms for us to get him into adequate services at discharge. He would state that he had no mental health history. He would state that he had no prison sentence and thereby didn't need any further services, and refused to sign up for the Medicaid paperwork that we needed him to sign. We were able last minute to get him into the Exit 318 program through the help of headquarters, again, with much difficulty, and that is where he left from and why we're here today. So similar to the issues we were having in June of 21, that remains. Mr. Gentile refuses any interaction with mental health services. You guys requested the mental health evaluation. Most of it was him refusing, telling me that he was going to refuse to speak with me.
With that being said, do you have a recommendation as to his capabilities to understand the proceedings today?
This has been chronic, this belief that he does not have the prison sentence, which is why before he arrived at Hunt, I had said that he would likely benefit from the assistance of counsel. although he is saying he does not want this delayed at this time.
All right, so Mr. Gentile, do you understand that you are in a parole revocation hearing?
Ma'am, I understand that I'm in a parole revocation hearing. I also understand the realities of the date.
That's it, that's my question, that's all I wanted to know. And
Okay.
I also want to know, do you think that you need help with the assistance of an attorney to proceed with this revocation? Yes or no, yes or no?
Well, I would like it to define proceeding with it. I see what I'm failing. Well, I guess what I'm failing to understand, and it pertains to the mental health stuff. I haven't taken mental health pills in years. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't see any reason or need to want. I don't act out. They barely know, you know. I don't do anything wrong. So I guess that's not that I don't understand it as far as I can't comprehend. I don't understand what the reasoning is for it. Do you understand what I'm saying? And for me to say that I need an attorney, to wait for an attorney again to go on something with a fact check would be instantly taken care of, and then I can go home, would be, to me, kind of move to the situation. I just want it done, you know what I mean, peacefully, as resolutely as possible, so I can go. But, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm sorry for babbling, but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be respectful as I can about the situation. You know what I mean?
And I appreciate that. I really do appreciate you trying to be as respectful as you can. Now, when you left prison in June of 2021, did you expect back this soon?
Did I expect what? Excuse
To
me,
be
ma'am?
back soon. Yeah, when you released, when you paroled from Hunt in June of 2021, did you expect to be coming back this soon?
No, ma'am. To reiterate again, I had. Well, no. I just like to explain a little bit where I'm coming from, so everybody knows where I only went to that program because I was a day after the rap sheet that they gave me for this 5-year sentence. So I only went there to make sure I got out. Back then I had there was no commencement sentence to be here. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now please bear with me. But no, I caused no problems, no crimes. I've done nothing wrong. Do you understand what I'm saying? It just baffles me to the fullest. You know what I'm saying? I just want to resolve. Thank you. I'm sorry.
And here's what in resolving it, I find that you have violated the conditions of parole that's set forth in the paperwork from the parole officer. And my recommendation is that your parole be revoked and your original sentence be imposed.
What is my original sentence?
Okay. All right. Mr. DOC,
Yes, ma'am.
listen for a moment, okay? I show that you were originally sentenced out of St. Tammany on March the 22nd, 2013, and you received a sentence of 5 years, 4 months and 18 days. All right.
Okay. Do you realize it's in 2022, right?
I know what day it is. You asked, Mr. Gentile, you asked for clarification.
But that would max me out the sentence, ma'am. If I started in 2013, it's 2022. It was only a 5-year, 4 months, and 18-day sentence. It's done. Even if I did get it, which I didn't get it.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Gentile, I was trying to give you information, but you want what you want. I can't give you.
All right, well, ma'am, what I'd like to do is I want to talk to the warden about this, and I'd like to report that I'd like the law enforcement agency that is closest to St. Tammany Parish to be notified of this so that I can speak with them and we can get this situation resolved. You just told me yourself, ma'am, when my sentence began. Enjoy your day. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to vote to revoke your supervision and order you to serve the remainder of the sentence.
What would be the remainder of the sentence?
All right, and my vote today also, Mr. Gentile is revoked. I find you guilty of violating conditions 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, sir. So today your parole's been revoked.
What is the?
Well, Well, now we're going to fast forward to June 6th, 2024. And I don't know what the odds are, but Miss Renatza is again on his board. Let's see if the outcome changes. And then we'll unpack it with all the details at the end.
All right, good morning. Sir, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number. Y'all are still on mute.
Okay.
There we go. There we go.
Donato Gentile, and I don't have a DOC number. I don't have a prison sentence.
I tell you what, let me see. I'll get some other information from you. You have, right here. Hang on, Mr. Gentile. I got our records. Look, date of birth, 12. So, what year were you born, sir?
1230.
All right, and what are the last 4 digits of your social security number? Do you know? Yes, sir. So your DOC number, according to our record, Mr. Gentile, is 610610.
Okay. Now, let me.
All right, wait, hold on, sir. I know you got some things to say to us, but I got to take care of some business first. We have here with us in the room, Mr. Gentile, Mr. Scott Collier. He's your appointed lawyer. Do you still want him to represent you today?
No.
You've met with him before, and you have to have, based on your, according to our records, we are required to provide you with a lawyer.
All right, ma'am, you're also required to know I do not have a prison sentence. The only sentence ma'am,
Yes,
please
sir,
listen.
we're not here for that discussion. I think
Ma'am, how is it not?
there is obvious a misunderstanding.
I'm on that form now. I'm filing a lawsuit on you. It's in the courts right now. I have no sentence. I would like to please respect
We
me.
will let the courts
You are
decide
wrong.
that.
You are holding a man hostage.
Gentile.
I am held kidnapped. I do not have a sentence. So before I get rude, you keep pausing it, muting it all you want. You can still see my mouth. Okay, I have no sentence.
All right.
Goodbye.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
He has to stay until we make a decision.
Yeah.
All right. All right, ma'am.
Yes.
What we are gonna do is we're gonna order that the DOC move him to a mental health unit at Hunt. And we'll continue this proceeding pending that evaluation.
Okay.
Okay, so you can, we'll send that order on.
Yeah,
Did you understand that?
he stormed out of the room, so.
Yeah, we understand. That's okay. And we appreciate you going to get him.
Thank
And
you.
we understand he has some lack of understanding of everything. So we're going to try to get him some help. I think now that concludes our business in East Baton Rouge. We're going to sign off from there at 10:13. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, deep breath. We're going to unpack this. And frankly, I'm confused. So I reached out to Richard and I said, can you please tell me what's going on here? And he did. I'm going to read from his email to me, and then we'll do a little bit more unpacking and just let's see if we're all aligned on this. I remember in the last hearing, there was hundreds of comments with different perspectives and views. Hopefully this can make us understand what's actually going on. So it all began on October 12th when he was blown away when his meth lab exploded. He was then airlifted to a hospital where initially they didn't know his name. In December, he was healed enough to be released to St. Tammany Jail to await trial. He was tried, convicted, and sent to various prisons due to behavior problems. Finally, he was released on good time in 2016. But he absconded and was 3 years later arrested on a parole violation mid-October 2019. Now, because of his refusal to participate in a mental health program or evaluation, the parole violation was dragging on until 2022. Now, because of his mental health issues, he's been housed in a hospital ward, which I think is at Hunt, which is interesting if you realize he was from the first hearing sent to Hunt. We saw him in the Hunt at the second hearing. Then he goes somewhere else. We see him at the third hearing, and Mr. Nazi just says, send him back to Hunt. So hospital ward, hence why he doesn't have a DOC number any longer, which is why they actually had to ask him for his birthday and his other information. And that he's also not in Vine, which is a service we use that Richard uses to find information. He's not there. Now, the psych ward essentially, and in the psych ward, which essentially, I'm sorry. So they put him in a psych ward because he's a danger to himself and others. So in his mind, damaged as it is, I mean, he was a meth head, and this all began when his meth lab blew up. He believes that he was released on good time, and once the 5 years end of sentence date, which was March 18th, passed, he fulfilled his prison sentence. And everything since 2019 arrest is really persecution. He's being falsely incarcerated. Now, Richard goes on to say that since he had to appear in court this morning, I'm guessing that they are still fighting for him to have a mental competency ruling so as they can declare he's competent to stand trial on his parole violation related charges, which is crazy to think he still hasn't done that, or to stick his butt in an asylum and stop the circle jerk. That's the best analysis I can give based on the facts that we know. Then my perception of actions, fit logical time, etc., to get this AM. Thank you, Sir Richard, for this. For those of you who don't know, Sir Richard is the most interesting man in the world, as I call him, and I have never heard his voice. Who knows? Maybe maybe I'm being catfished. But no. He's going to join the channel one day. We're all going to get to meet him, and I think it's going to happen sometime soon. It's hard to, hear something interesting that may give some perspective on who this man is. Maybe before he lost his mind, I don't know. It's his, his old dating profile back after this accident. And I'll read to you, and he seems like very hot, as it says. Hello, everyone. My name is Donato. I am 34 years old, SWM with black hair, hazel eyes. I'm an Irish Italian, and he does sound Italian, right? Like he's not, he's got like an Italian accent. Weigh around 180, 5'10". I have a lot of tattoos, but I can dress in clothes that cover most of them up and look like the guy next door. Well, almost. My release date is February 2016. Isn't that right? And he was released 2016. I am fortunate enough to still have my career as a foreman with a demolition company when I'm released. And isn't that telling, huh? He did blow himself up. The work is rough, but the pay is great and enables me to get to do things in my life I want to do. In any relationship, romantic or otherwise, I believe in honesty, trust, and being able to count on each other while having good communication. I'm hoping to start a friendship that develops into something more. I'm just looking for the right person to laugh and enough life with and make each other happy. Just a few of my interests are all genres of music, from country to rock to anything outdoors and trying new things. I can be adventurous occasionally, but then I could slow everything down. I know how to cook, so a night at home would be just great, and I love the beach. I'll end here. If what I've written interests you, you want to know more, write back. Tell me about yourself. Also, at this time housing unit, I cannot receive pictures, but that will change soon. Have a good day. And hey, smile. Now, some of you who might be a little more skeptical will say that he paid 3 soups and 2 honey buns to have that written for him, or there might be this whole other side that disintegrated when that meth lab blew up. I don't know. But here's the bottom line. I mean, in my opinion, it's hard to understand. You know, he has an attorney today on this final hearing in the room with them. And, you know, how can you stay, if you saw how can you I don't believe you can be mentally competent, right? You can't just be that there's something wrong. You can't to just say, let's hear it out finally. Like, let's have the attorney speak. But no, he's clear, in my opinion, clearly just not there. And in either way, the system does seem to be failing him. He should be, the whole thing's sad. I don't, hopefully they figure it out, but let's keep in mind that this has been dragging on for 2 years. We've been watching this, and this man is clearly not okay and should not be in prison, right? He should have help. I don't know what a mental ward looks like, and obviously he won't be happy there either. He'll probably be just as upset, but maybe there's something that can be given to him that will, I don't know. What am I to say? This is, I think, ultimately a sad thing, but love to hear your thoughts. And if we do see him again, I'll pin it, the next video, in the comment section. And thank you, Richard, for the research. We'll move to the next hearing, which is intense. So let's go.
Looking at his past record, he's admitted to having sex with a 14-year-old. He was charged in 2017 with possession of child pornography in Indiana and pled to sexual misconduct with a minor. Then in 2018, he was arrested on this offense. I'm not going to get into the details of the pictures that were sent, the requests that he was doing, but
you might recognize that voice. That voice is ADA of Jefferson Parish, Randy Meyer, and he is telling the board just how dangerous this roach is. Let's watch the hearing, and I'll unpack it at the end.
Trent Kaiser is classified as a first felony offender, currently serving a 10-year sentence, having been sentenced in Jefferson Parish February 6, 2020, for indecent behavior with a juvenile. Mr. Kaiser's parole eligibility date was January 9th, 2023. Mr. Kaiser does not earn good time. Full term date is September 10, 2029. Is that information correct, Mr. Kaiser?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, would you answer Mrs. Ledoux's questions, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Kaiser. If I'm not mistaken, you had a charge that you pled guilty to in Indiana for possession of child pornography. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you serve any time, or what was the sentence on that particular charge?
The sentence for the child pornography charge up there was level 6, and they gave me 1 year, but do 6 months in county jail.
So did you serve the 6 months in the county jail?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're really a second class offender. Okay. How long have you had the problem with child pornography addiction and concerns? When did you get involved in that?
Really, I was never involved in actual child pornography itself, but I have had an issue with pornography just in general, like videos and pictures from other women, but just child pornography, I've never had an issue with that in particular.
I see. Well, I do know that you have completed all 4 phases of your sex offender treatment.
Yes.
And that's That's excellent. I'm very glad to see that. But also in reading the report, and let me just notate that we have over 100, about 115 pages of documentation. And I've read these several times. And I read in your documentation that you also had admitted that you had sexual relationship with a 14-year-old.
Yes, ma'am.
And how old were you at that time?
I was 19 at that time.
So you were an adult and she was 14. How old was the victim in this particular case?
The victim of this case was 11.
And it's my understanding that you were aware that she was 11 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you initially make contact with an 11-year-old?
How I initially made contact with her was on a video game online. And at that time is that we were in a event itself, playing a different event, and that's how I initially contacted her herself. So we went to talking on the headset, but then that is when I actually individually messaged her on the Xbox console itself, and that's when I eventually carried out talking to her from there. So that's how I originally met her.
Have you met other young girls that way as well? Is that how you developed some relationships in the past, or?
That with her being 11, I have not talked to any other girls within that age frame that I've, in person or online. I've never talked to anyone besides that.
But under the age of 17?
Not even really around the age of 17, no.
Okay. So tell me how you feel about that. I noticed that you have a child. Do you have a child?
Yes, ma'am.
Boy or girl?
A girl.
How do you feel about what you did now?
Honestly, with me now having a daughter of my own and knowing what I did to this victim, it sickens me personally to know that I actually did that.
Your conduct within prison was could be considered decent, but you've had 2 write-ups, and the last one was just in May of last year. It was an aggravated disobedience. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about that. What happened in that situation? That's a high court write-up.
Well, what happened at that particular write-up with aggravated disobedience is I had a call out that morning, I believe, 8:30, 9 o'clock to see Miss Sledette about a mail situation. The mail I was received was rejected, but I was not given a reason why. So I went to talk to her about that. And before I left, I did not have my bread properly made. So as the write-up states that Mr. or Sergeant Sanchez came down the tier and gave me a verbal order. But in the write-up, he states that he gave me a verbal order, but I was never on the tier at that time. I was at my call out. So as the write-up states, he gave me a verbal order to get my bed made, and I defied his order and didn't do so. But at that time that right was made, I was on the call. I was on the yard for maintenance or yard call.
Okay. So, what would be your plans if you were to be released? What would be your plans?
My plans, if I were to be released, would be to go back home, immediately start taking my classes that I'm required of me to take for my charge and my offense, along with getting my job in order that I do have planned for me when I get home, along with trying to make amends with my wife and trying to get things together so I can start seeing my daughter.
So you're married?
Well, currently, me and the mom are not talking out on any circumstances, period. But that is also due to things I have done to her and how I abused her mentally when we were together. So with that happening, and I'm giving her space that she requested, letting her take her time, and at that time, we are not talking at all, as she said. And until then, I will not be talking to her until she gives me the go-ahead to do so.
Okay, so you're still married, but you're not in a
No.
complementary relationship. Okay. At this point, Ms. Renata, I don't have any further questions. All right, I have, you have some questions?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, speaking further on your wife, was she aware? I mean, you must have been spending a lot of time playing these video games and stuff. Was she aware of this sexual pornography between you and children, or sexual pornography in the home?
I don't believe that she was aware, to my knowledge, no.
She didn't become aware until you were arrested?
Yes.
The 11-year-old, from what I understand, this became was discovered with her parents whenever you asked her to send some explicit sexual photographs of her and she refused. Is that correct? And if not, how did it happen that it was exposed with the 11-year-old?
At the part where she refused is I do remember I asked her for a specific picture and she said no. So I asked again and she said no. So once she said no the second time, I let off with that. But then it went from the Snapchat to the Facebook Messenger. That's where, because on the Snapchat, I asked her if she had a Facebook account. And that was she gave me her full name. So that is why I hit her up on the Facebook Messenger and started talking to her from there also. And that's where everything else ensued. As for other pictures and videos, whatever else I said.
And so the sexually explicit videos and pictures were exclusively coming from you to the 11-year-old, because I know you had sex, you just admitted to, with a 14-year-old. And that was another incident. So that was in Indiana, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you from Indiana?
Yes, ma'am.
You are. So that child was in your area, correct?
Yeah, my same county jail, yes.
Did you meet her the same way through Facebook? Was it something like that?
Me and her went to school together, but different grades.
Oh, okay. All right.
But we didn't start really talking until Facebook.
So Facebook again
Yeah.
was introduced y'all to each other, and then it became more of a conversation. Did you send her sexually explicit photos too, like you did the 11-year-old? Did she get that ahead of time? Y'all just met up and did you have sex then? And
Yes, ma'am.
did it continue? How was that discovered?
We only had, to my knowledge, it only happened once that we actually had sex.
Okay.
And it did not come into light until, honestly, that I had the arrest warrant for down here issued, and that's when I got arrested up there for the charge down here, the arrest warrant. And so when I went and got locked up in Miami County Jail, a couple of days after that is when I initially, I'm sorry. I confessed to them when they came and got me for my arrest warrant at the same time they spoke to me. That is when I went to the police state post and I did a polygraph on that. That is when it came to light.
I understand. Okay, that I was just wondering, it's so far away, Indiana and Louisiana, how that happened. And I know you've taken the sexual offender courses, so I'm sure they talked to you about the consequences of the horrible nature for a child to see the kind of pictures that you sent him, right?
As for the victim impact, it did help me to see the bigger picture of how not you, but how the victim in particular was hurt. Like as for her, I know that she's been through a lot of stuff since that day has happened, and that she has gone through a life-changing event that she may not be, that she will need therapy with, and, you know, just help with professionals.
Right.
So in that regard, I do understand completely now what I have put her through.
Right.
But as the risk management class, that class has taught me a lot in the ways of me knowing I have a sex addiction, a porn addiction. That class in particular has helped me to know what I need help with. And just like, for instance, the class, you have risk factors that show you particular what you need help with. That's what has helped me greatly in me getting my help I need.
Well, that's excellent to know which classes had certain impacts on your crime. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, man. But like I said, is that those two, the risk management is one of those I do greatly appreciate, whereas it has helped me to know what I need help with specifically. And the victim impact helps me to know what she has been through from the time it started till now.
Yes, which is what it's designed to do.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Kaiser, I want to thank you for being very honest with us today. You know, we usually don't get that from someone, so it's very much appreciated. I was
Well,
going to ask you a little bit about the victim impact, but you've already explained that and what you got out of it, so.
and see the victim impact, I would say is that as they teach you is that, and this goes back to my daughter, is that my daughter was born a year and 1 month and 2 days after I was initially locked up. So with me now having a daughter of my own, it really puts me in that spot as they teach you in class, what if it happened to you? How would you feel about that? I would, pardon my language, but I would be really upset if that happened to my daughter. Because now that I have matured and grown in how I see that and know what happened, I won't want that for my kid at all, no way.
So how old are you now, Mr. Kaiser? I may have missed that.
I am 27 right now, ma'am.
Yeah, September is your birthday. And you've been in jail how long here in Louisiana?
I got sentenced February 6th of 2020, but I did not get extradited down here until September 12th of 2019.
Because you were in jail in Indiana during that time?
Yes, doing both jail time and prison time.
Right. So how much time have you been in jail altogether?
I would say roughly, with the 7 years down here, the 2 up there, roughly 9 years altogether. No, about 7, 8 years altogether, my bad.
So I don't have any other questions of you. Warden Thompson, is there anything you can add to the conversation?
No comments, please.
All right. So at this time, Mr. Kaiser, we're going to hear from the folks who want to speak on your behalf. And first, we'll take the folks on Zoom, and let's start with let's see, Tyquan Kaiser, your brother.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. 1 second. Sure. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry, I was moving from section of the house. I didn't know if you guys could still hear me or cut off.
Yeah. And so if you could be stationary, it would help us out a lot because it makes us dizzy when you're moving.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
My name is Tyquan Kaiser. I'm Trent Kaiser's older brother. I'm 29. I think he's learned his lesson from incarceration, and he knows what's wrong and right now versus where before he was immature, kind of like everybody else, and don't necessarily know the wrong from right. I myself was incarcerated, and since I've been out, I've got a job within 2 weeks. I'm doing everything that I need to do. I have a house. I have 2 brand new cars. I'm currently making $60,000 a year. I think he could do the same if given the opportunity, Your Honor.
And you're in Indiana?
Yes, I'm in Indiana as well.
Well, good. Well, congratulations on your success, and thanks for taking the time to speak with us this morning. I understand your grandmother, Ms. Jewel, is there also. She has declined to speak in favor of allowing some other speakers. So we'll go ahead and move on to Ms. Mary Heater, also grandmother.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm Mary Heater. I'm Trent's grandmother. And I just want to say that growing up, Trent was always a good, loving kid. He had a learning disability, which caused him to struggle through school, but he still managed to graduate high school when he was 19. He never caused trouble and never got in any trouble throughout his childhood. Trent lived most of his life with me or within walking distance of my house. Trent never did drugs or drink. On his 21st birthday, he wanted to have a campfire with family instead of going to a bar like most kids do when they turn 21. Trent was baptized after he was incarcerated. He has taken many Bible study classes and has a good number of certificates for completion of those studies. While incarcerated, Trent has completed all of his required classes, and I feel he has learned a lot through them. Trent will be living with me when he is paroled. He has a lot of family members that are ready to step up and help him get back on his feet when he gets out. I would just ask that you will approve his parole so that he can become the productive young man that I know he is capable of.
Thank you. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us, Ms. Heater. Now we'll hear from Mr. Haas, who's here with us, sir.
Thank you and good morning. My name is Les Haas. My wife Holly is Trent's great aunt, making me a straight uncle. Twice retired, first as an Air Force officer and again as a financial advisor, and Holly is a retired teacher. I thought Trent was not ready to be released, despite being a family member, I'm not here today. As Holly and I are relatives in the area, and his family lives across the country, we stepped in to support Trent. We would visit and provide company and emotional support, use our life skills and experiences to mentor him with advice, motivate him to use his time wisely by studying and doing self-improvement. Most importantly, we wanted to encourage him to get and stay close to God. We first visited Trent in October 2021. My impression was he's an easygoing, simple guy. But I was surprised how much he knew about religion, sports, environment, politics, and how many men. Something really struck me on our visit in mid-March this year. As we were discussing political issues, he turned the topic to the debates between our politicians regarding the sexualization of young children. How ironic, I thought, based on the mistake he made. With unexpected enthusiasm, his raw feelings came out as he became emotionally charged and railed against drag shows and book readings for little kids by drag queens. He was very upset about how advocates supporting pedophilia were trying to bring it into mainstream society by rebranding it as youth attracted individuals. He expressed deep concern how these issues might affect his daughter. This was huge. The turning point was cemented in my mind, that he had matured a great deal since his crime. He was no longer the young, immature adult making stupid, self-gratifying decisions, but now is a mature man who understands responsibility. It showed that he truly comprehended the hurts, confusion, and other negatives that apply to victims who suffer from being sexualized juvenilely. It proved that he has flipped. Instead of being a predator, he is firmly on the side of those who want to protect our young and understands the responsibility that we as a society have to protect our youth in all ways, especially sexual innocence. Trent has never met his 6-year-old daughter, still in her formative years, and needing her father's love and support. I have no doubt that Trent is ready to step into that role. There are many negative statistics about daughters growing up without fathers, and perhaps he can help her overcome or at least mitigate the probability of some of these negative outcomes. A major concern I have is that staying in prison may result in him being picked on. Though he's nonviolent and would never initiate a fight, he is thin and slight in build, an easy target for troublemakers. If he stands up for himself, he may end up in trouble, perhaps starting a downward spiral, decreasing his sentence of being denied parole. As mentioned earlier, Holly and I had a goal to mentor Trent about his spirituality. We found he did not attend any church services and was mostly unfamiliar with organized religion. He did inform us, however, that he was taking a Bible study course and was praying with a few guys for special intentions for loved ones. We were surprised that he listened to American Family Radio, Christian-based program. Their discussions are tempered with a moral compass that encourages people to live the right way, God's way, not man's way. It's uncommon for young adults to listen to moral-based religious talk radio, and I think this says a lot about where Trent is. He is accomplishing spiritual self-improvement by taking theology online courses and is excited that he can earn an associate's degree. I'm not sure where this will lead him, but the young man is in the process of crafting his heart as well as his mind.
Mr. House, can you wrap it up for us?
Yes, ma'am. In summary, I feel that Trent has fully owned the hurt he caused by his crime and has progressed to the point of being an advocate of protecting the young from such things. His daughter would benefit by having a father's support. Remaining in prison is an easy target for troublemakers, puts him at risk of a downward spiral. Most importantly, Trent is morally mature and is turning into a man of God. For these reasons, I wholeheartedly encourage you to grant him parole. To stake my reputation that Trent is not at risk to society.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your remarks. Now, before we turn it over to the district attorney's office, Trent, is there anything you'd like to say to us? A statement?
Firstly, what I want to say first, I want to apologize to my victim, who this case is for, and I know I have hurt tremendously as a kid and growing up. For, as my family has says, is I have grown maturely, tremendously, mentally, of knowing what I have done, and knowing what was wrong and right, and realizing what I have done and the impacts it has actually had on them. So I would like to apologize to her first and asking her family for forgiveness. But also with you guys, I want to thank you for this opportunity for granting me a hearing and hopefully granting me parole so that I can go out there and use everything I've used in these classes and my risk management and helping me get the help I need that I deserve and be the dad that my daughter deserves.
All right, thank you very much. We'd like to hear from the district attorney's office now, Mr. Meyer.
Good morning, Randy Meyer, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish. We are very strongly opposed to Mr. Kaiser's release on parole. I spoke to the victim last week, who she is now 18 years old, and to her mother. Both are strongly opposed to parole. Both think that he needs to remain in prison until his full term date in 2029. They couldn't make it here today because her father had some kind of heart surgery or something just recently. So they weren't able to make it. Looking at his past record, he's admitted to having sex with a 14-year-old. He was charged in 2017 with possession of child pornography in Indiana and pled to sexual misconduct with a minor. Then in 2018, he was arrested on this offense. I'm not going to get into the details of the pictures that were sent, the requests that he was doing, but suffice to say, this is a horrible crime. I think his record indicates he's a sexual predator, he's a pedophile, and he needs to remain in jail for his entire sentence. Thank you.
We appreciate your input. I think the panel is prepared for that. Mrs. Ledoux?
And, this has been an excellent interview with you. You've done a great job of communicating what you've learned and your remorse and your self-awareness. Trent, sometimes it's just not in your best interest to be released. And today I'm going to deny your parole. I think that you need just a little bit more time to mature. I think the awareness of what you've done is going to motivate you to be an excellent person when you are given the chance to go back home. But today, my vote is to deny.
Mrs. Stapleton.
Trent, I was glad to hear your victim accountability statement where you actually put your daughter's face on your victims. That's one of the most important things about learning accountability, if you can make it personal. And the victim, if it were you or somebody that you loved, and you did go there. So I was very glad to hear that. But that aside, my vote today is to revoke based upon the nature of your crime and the age of your victims. Deny. I'm so sorry. Deny.
Right. And Mr. Kaiser, I agree with my colleagues. I think you're on the right track. I think you've got some work to do. And when you're finally given the opportunity to get out, I think you'll be a contributing member of society. But based on the opposition that we've heard today from the victim and the DA's office, my vote today is to deny your own. Good luck to you, Mr. Kaiser. Good luck to you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you for this opportunity.
And Ward Thompson, thanks for accommodating us. We're going to sign off at 10:58.
Thank you all as well. You give life the gate to you, man. You work every day. You work. My daughter's all that I need to put in right now.
Cockroach. Just a, wow. Randy Meyer, thank you for showing up. For those of you who are not familiar, I know many of you are. Randy, he shows up to virtually all his cases. And man, he's been consistent year after year after year. And what's interesting is that his parish does not often get roaches. But to see him give a roach smackdown was, I know for me, just so validating. Is that the word, validating? I don't know. He said everything I wanted to say. I think everything a lot of us were thinking. He's a pedophile. It's like, why is that not something that they just simply say? He's a pedo. He likes children. He likes little kids. That's what he's into. You can't change that no matter how many programs you take. And it's weird to me that it's like putting your head in the sand and saying, well, you know, like his supporters. Oh my gosh, they're all the same, these supporters. We'll go over the info Richard shared. I just need to get more off of this venting thing, you know. You know what's coming with the supporters. What's his brother? I was a felon too. I make $60,000 a year and I own 2 cars. I'm just like, man, I mean, with the cost of cars these days, it's not a great financial move, man. And then his father comes on and starts saying, I knew he changed when we were having a prison cell conversation, and he brings up how politics are sexualizing children and how they're bringing it into our schools and how they're calling it people who like young people attractiveness. And it's like, you know, a father will see what a father wants to see. But really what I saw from that was that this is just all the guy can think about. You know, it's like an obsession. He's probably reading about it, researching it. He can't help but talk about it. Like, man, maybe what I did is not so wrong. It's like, you know, there are other people like me. He likes children. It's how his brain is wired. He just has to accept it. Everyone around him needs to accept it. And the last place he should be going is anywhere near his daughter. You know, and only until like these parole board members and society can just start to say, look, you're wired wrong. We don't know why. Now you need to do everything in your power to make sure that you never hurt anyone. And we need to make sure that we do everything in our power to make sure that you never hurt anyone else. Because it's very simple. If you were to say, if someone were to say, you know, Mandu, for the rest of your life, you cannot have any type of anything to do with another adult woman, your wife, anyone. And I'd be like, yes. You took the programs, Mandy, right? Yes. I know it's wrong. And of course, it's just not the way it works. My brain is wired to, right? You can't change me. It's the same thing. Just realize that, people. And then you can only then start to fight the problem that you have. It's just crazy. He has 2 convictions, the 14-year-old and the 11-year-old. And then he has that other charge that I guess they never actually, he never actually got arrested for. There's only 2 arrests on his record, but he has 3 incidents that we know of. 11 years old. And everything he says was manipulative, in my opinion. Oh yeah, the 14, we went to school together. Yeah, okay, dude. You were 19, she was 14. He like plays it off like, oh yeah, it was just totally normal. Then the 11-year-old. We were playing video games and I happened to chat with her. Have you spoken to anyone else? No, absolutely not. She was the only one. Yeah, I wonder what game you were playing. Find an adult married man who's playing a console game that happens to be with a little girls. Really? You weren't picking the games? You weren't hunting? This wasn't an accident. This was, you're a predator. You were hunting. How many hours he spent hunting for his prey until he finally reeled one in? Why don't people just understand that? You know, I know he got a unanimous denial, and there was a little creepy who said, until you see your daughter on your victims' faces. And I get that they said that. She said that, Miss Stapleton, I think, said that with the right intention, and she didn't mean it that way. But I just can't help him thinking, yeah, wow, that sounds great. A 150-page report. Man. So what happened was, you know, I love that Louisiana extradited him. That's what happened. They extradited him. Good job, Louisiana. So let me see. a lot of these reports that Richard shared, it includes his home address, and I am not going to screen share that. So I just need to make sure this one doesn't, because there's a bunch of reports, but here we go. Miami County, when I first read this, I said Miami. I'm like, oh my gosh, we got a Miami, we got a Florida man, but it was not that kind of Miami. So police arrested a Miami County man accused of exchanging sex videos with an 11-year-old girl in Louisiana. Yeah, it's 11. Trent Kaiser was arrested September 21st as an investigative involving Indiana internet crimes against children and Jefferson Parish, Louisiana Sheriff's Department. Investigators in Indiana were notified by a detective from the Jefferson County, Louisiana Sheriff's Department that Kaiser reportedly had sexual charged conversations and exchanged images and video depicting content with 11-year-old in Louisiana. The conversation between Miami County man and the girl occurred at various social media sites from July 20th, 2017 to August 15th, 2017. This is really important to know, is that, you know, her father caught it, right? But this is just 25 days it took. Just, you know, it happens in a blink of an eye in life. Her father caught it, but it's still just, imagine if he wasn't as attentive as he was. This could have gone on for months and years, which we have seen happen in other cases. They executed a search warrant where they found CP. So I think it seems that they gave him a little slap on the wrist sentence there, because they don't really care about children, right? And then good for Louisiana for extraditing him. And good for the task force for doing a great job. Well, I guess it was the father actually found it, and that's where it happened. But now, okay, a few things. One is, it was so good to hear that his wife doesn't have any communication with him whatsoever. We have seen over and over and over again how that's just simply not the case. And it's just so, you know, so good for her. If you're watching this, great job. Keep doing it. And next is that, you know, it's interesting. Those of us who grew up before electronics and all that stuff, we might blame our parents for, wow, you know, they let us do this, that was dangerous, that was dangerous. I don't know if, you know, I don't think it's there, but I grew up, I would bike to school and back 3 miles each way when I was, I guess, 12 years old, through the streets. I would go everywhere. I would hitchhike. I would do all these things. I don't, you know, it's a different world now. I wouldn't let my kids do it, but we blame our parents for letting us do certain things. And I think in this generation, the blame is going to be about how parents weren't aware and protecting their children from predators online. And I know it is a subject that is brought up all the time, but it probably doesn't hurt to bring it up more and more and more, that if we are not watching and protecting our children, they are at serious risk. And this is just proof of that right there. I mean, she's playing a console game. Her parents probably had no idea that you could communicate to roaches across, you know, state lines. But nice to see that he was revoked. He's got his full term date. What did they say? Like, it's I think another 5 years. And good to see the denial. Good to see Randy show up. And that's it. The scary part is that he will be out. He will be very, very young, and he will be a menace. That is scary. And what can you do? I just hope that he's monitored like a hawk. And with that, I'll let you go.
And I'm hoping that you're not just trying to pull the wool over my eyes. I really do. Because you've been doing this since 6. Your history goes back to age 6.
Yes,
Don't you want to be more than inmate number 380348?
I do. And I know that I am.
I really want to root for him, but unfortunately, his crimes and what he got revoked for just makes it impossible. I'll share those details with you at the end.
Please state your name. Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Taquan Davis, 380348.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Tyquan Davis, 380348. He is serving a sentence of 7 years for a violation of probation. The underlying charge is risk of injury to a child, conspiracy to commit sexual assault, third, intercourse with kindred, and a separate charge for illegal possession of child pornography, second. He is to register as a sex offender for 10 years. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of March 10th, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows he has completed the short track sex offender program and he works as a janitor. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the very high range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Davis, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole.
Okay. Well, I want to start by saying that as I was growing up, like I was emotionally stunted and without capacity of empathy for others. And I didn't realize the things that I was doing was hurting other people just for my own gratification. So I allowed that to basically let me do whatever I wanted without thinking about the consequences. Through the years, as going back and forth for violations of probation, I've grown to learn these things through different programs, not even just the programs that DOC wanted me to take. Like I'm talking about programs like separate treatment programs. Like I learned how to actually think before I do something and not be impulsive. I don't even like it's not even the fact that I messed up my life. I messed up somebody else's life. I hurt somebody that I was supposed to protect as they were growing up. And there's no amount of remorse or regret that can give them back what I took from them. And I live with that every day. And it's always on my mind. And that's just all I have to say.
Okay. Well, we appreciate that, Mr. Davis. Looks like he had some notes for today. I'm sure that was helpful. We're going to ask you some questions and then we will deliberate and give you our decision about parole at the end. Right? Member Tate?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It looks as if he had something that he wanted to read and decided to go speak from his heart instead. And I think that was the better way to go, to be honest with you. I have to be honest, Mr. Davis, I wasn't expecting you to come in and say any of those things. It really sounds as if you are starting to understand the impact that your behaviors not only have on you, but on other people involved. I know I heard you talk about the person that you were supposed to protect, who's the victim of the underlying offense, but instead you caused her harm, And the one thing that I really do have to ask you is, how long do you want this cycle to continue?
I don't want this cycle to continue.
So how did you get off the rotating wheel? because you've been serving this sentence for since 2010, almost 14 years. You've been back and forth, in and out of prison, not complying on probation, violating your probation, getting new charges, just insanity. How did you get off that wheel?
The first step is accountability. Like, after my 25th birthday, something clicked in me, and it was like, because I was out of compliance already. And after my 25th birthday, it was like, I don't want to do this no more, because now I have a child of my own, and being out of compliance, I can't be around her, because me being there is putting her in jeopardy. They raid the house. She got to see me get arrested. Like, it just wasn't for me anymore. And I decided that, all right, I'm going to turn myself in and just do what they want me to do, no matter how much I don't.
Was what you were supposed to be doing in the first place. You know, going to treatment. Do you understand that the treatment is not there for punishment? It's there to help you.
Yes.
I heard you say in your opening statement that your emotions were stunted, right? Isn't that what you said?
Yes.
So guess what? The only way to address that is through treatment. You have to start there. From reading your file and from talking with the licensed doctor here that works on these type cases, it was obvious that something occurred to stunt that emotion. Because what normal person would behave in this manner? And in my opinion, it's someone who suffered a lot of trauma in his life. And the only way to treat that, Mr. Davis, is to get yourself into treatment. That's the only thing that's going to help you. You've had 3 other opportunities to participate in your treatment out in the community, and you weren't showing up. Go ahead.
For this violation, I was in the Connections program.
I know you were negatively discharged though, because you got this.
Yes, but prior to that, I had just passed my maintenance polygraph. So I was on the discharge waiting list from the Connections program. So I was virtually finished.
Okay, so let me stop you right there. So regardless of whether or not you were finished, you didn't get it. It didn't click. And I'll tell you that because you went on to get additional charges.
Yes.
So whatever you did in that program before, you weren't paying attention because you're right back here again.
Yes.
You understand? So this time when you participate in that program, you really need to focus on not returning to prison. You really, really do. You're running out of opportunities. You got 7 years this time for this violation. Your criminal history is absolutely concerning. We know that you've participated in the sex offender treatment before because you've been in prison for the same offense for 14 years, in and out. The only person that can help you at this point, Mr. Davis, is you. And I've heard you say that I heard you express the pain that you're in. Unless you were just talking, unless you were just saying that because you thought it was something that we wanted to hear. How do you make your victim in this case see, I'm different? I'm sorry I hurt you that way. I never should have done it. I took my anger or my misplaced whatever out on you. You were innocent in all of this. I'm the culprit.
I showed through my actions like that I've learned and I can be a better person.
Yeah, I see. You haven't received a disciplinary infraction in almost 4 years now, 3 years. In August, it'll be 3 years, So you're capable. I just want you to switch. Do what you're doing right now out in the community so that you're not back in prison. No one can help you but you. Are you willing to accept the help?
I am willing to accept the help.
So are you willing to talk to your officer when you're struggling or, you know, when you're in a relationship like you're supposed to do with, you know, when you're out in the community? No more pornography on your phone and sneaking smartphones and all that stuff?
Yes. And that's part of the thing I had written down was I have to be able to use the support system that I have and the support system that's given to me as far as parole, the PO, and my mentors that I have. I have to be able to use them, express, like, tell them, listen, I feel that I'm about to have a lapse in some form of way, and I need you to help me get through it.
Mr. Davis, I mean, honestly, I'm impressed at what you're saying. And I'm hoping that you're not just trying to pull the wool over my eyes. I really do. Because you've been doing this since 6. Your history goes back to age 6.
Yes.
Don't you want to be more than inmate number 380348?
I do, and I know that I am.
Well, you're not showing it.
That's what I was about to say. I need to show it.
Yes, you do. Put your money where your mouth is. All right. I'm all set. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, I do have one more question. I'm sorry. You said when you were interviewed by the officer, you said that you wanted to be released to your mom. I mean, you gave a name of Keziah.
Yes,
I thought your mother's name was Earlene.
it is. She legally changed her name to Keziah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Davis, I agree with everything that panel member Page said, and I would also say, you know, it's probably really easy to go through the motions of treatment, go fill the chair, but to really get anything out of it, only you can do, right? You can, unless you participate and honestly, you know, accept
Yes,
what is going, apply it, engage. Yeah. You have 2 mentors in the community?
Yes. One's a retired Army first sergeant, and one's an alderman in New Haven.
Okay. All right.
Who's the alderman?
Marcio Streeter of the 21st Ward.
All right. Well, you know, it sounds like you have good support in the community, people that want what's best for you. So it's important for you to take advantage of that, right? Lean on those people when things get difficult.
Yes.
Ms. Chance?
I have no questions. You're retired, so I did send a letter of support for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very nice. All right. We will deliberate about your case now. Just give us a few moments. Panel member Kate?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have to acknowledge that Mr. Davis rates out very high. He has a history of non-compliance and not reporting. In addition, you know, he was on probation when he had heard this new offense. And when I was reviewing his file, I had him denied. And then I thought, well, what can we do to help this young man help himself? And I really think that the being supervised in the community under the SMU that parole provides will help him stay on the right track. And hopefully he will complete the treatment and finally be done with this sentence and move on with his life and be a dad. And everything else he aspires to be, but no more this mess. So I am going to vote to grant his request for discretionary parole. I think that he would benefit from it. I understand that he's a high risk. And I also know that we are taking a risk if we vote him out to parole. But I really think that that supervision would, he has a flat sentence. That's the first thing. The second thing is I think that the supervision would also be in the interest of public safety.
Agreed. So agreed. Ms. Chance? I agree. Okay, I agree too. For all that you have put out there, Ms. Page. And for conditions, community-based treatment for problem sexual behavior treatment, no contact with minors without the parole officer's permission, no pornography, and I had no computer access. Yes, internet.
Well, yeah, that I think we're supposed to. Yeah, no pornography and enhanced monitoring, yes.
All right, no problem. So in the matter of Taquan Davis, 380348, this motion to grant parole on or after today, May 31st, 2024, with the following stipulations. Treatment for problem sexual behavior treatment, no contact with minors without the parole officer's permission, no pornography, and enhanced internet monitoring. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Well, good luck to you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you.
We want you to do well, and we want you to stop this cycle. So.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Good luck, Mr. Davis. You're all set, Mr. Davis.
Thank
Make
you.
sure that you make us proud out there.
I will.
You know, again, I feel I wanted to root for him, but I can't, not with the information I have. And she says, I hope you're not pulling the wool over our eyes. And my answer to you is that you're pulling it over your own eyes. Even your Harvard level risk score says a high risk of recidivism, the highest possible risk. Now you're going to ignore your risk score? I mean, I guess they just think the whole thing's a joke themselves, but what? Yeah. Whew. He's originally locked up for 53A 72A-2, which is sexual assault third of a kindred, which is a relative. And you heard him maybe when the moment he spoke about the original crime, I should have been there to protect them, and I didn't. It's just a child, so all he got was 3 months. But you know what he was revoked for? What he's serving his time for now? Illegal possession of CP. He's revoked for having CP on his phone. This is 2021. Stop it with the, you want to be more than just a DOC number? You can. Do you not get that he likes children? What is wrong with it? You're the parole board. You're supposed to know these things. Now, we don't have the details. We don't know what kind of image or how old. Maybe, I don't know what they're coming up with. I mean, there's no excuse. Well, was she 16? Was she 3? I mean, who knows? But probably, I don't think it makes a difference. There's plenty of adult content out there that he could have had on his phone, but he didn't. You don't think he's a danger? And it wasn't even brought up. It was like that, but I just don't get it. You know, there are people that are wired differently. There are people that like children. There are people that don't care if you're a relative child, and you need to just do a better job protecting. He gets a 3-month sentence, then he violates, gets back and out of this. He has all these different things, but the underlining offense that he got locked up for was 53A 196E, illegal possession of CP, second degree. He was sentenced to 78 months. His full term date would have been 2027. You know, thank you for sharing the info. Now, there's no other info. There's nothing else. Because it's just, it's just children. But here you go. You can't make this stuff up. And you don't need someone to pull the wool over your eyes if you're pulling it over yourself. You're sticking your head in the sand and you're just hoping for the best. But who benefits? The severely high-risk offender, or maybe you should just keep the citizen safe. Maybe just don't take a chance. Certain people, they stop that you gotta stop giving chances. Now, if he violates for any reason, we'll do his revocation hearing. We'll make sure you know about it. And with that, I'll let you go. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Grandfather, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Well, thank you for taking the time. I am very glad that you brought up to me that it is June 6th and that it might be a good time to remind the channel about what kind of day it is, and I think there would be no better way than hearing a story from you.
Well, June 6th was important because it was D-Day finally. And we were waiting as kids when something was going to happen to get the Germans out of Germany, France. And I was 15 years old. And when the news finally came that the landing at D-Day occurred, we were so excited. I think I was at my Boy Scout meeting, and we all kind of got excited to know that D-Day was happening at that time. And it was thrilling that these 160,000 Americans, Brits, and Canadians, French, landed on those 5 beaches, and they were so successful in doing so. You know, they expected tremendous amount of casualties, and it wasn't that bad, actually. You know, I think something like 6,000 people were killed at the initial landing. And it was a great day. They did a great job fooling the Germans, thinking that they were coming to Calais, which was the natural port to attack since it was closer to Paris and the shortest distance from England to France. And they fooled him. They fooled him with General Patton, creating a fake army that looked like they were going to attack Calais. And the Germans, even after the attack on June 6th on Normandy, the Germans still thought that the main attack would be coming at Calais and did not release their panzers to go back to fight Normandy because they thought they were coming in Calais, which they did not. Normandy was the place. And I knew some people who were actually involved in the landing in Normandy. They survived. One lost his leg, and others went through all the way to Berlin. So it was an exciting day. And I have hanging in my house a first page of the New York Herald Tribune announcing the D-Day landing. And that's kind of neat since it's 80 years old. And it's interesting, too, that June 6th, 57 years ago, on June 5th, Israel attacked Egypt, Iraq, and Jordan on the 6-day war that opened up all the territory that they now have, surprisingly beaten back those big armies. So it was a very interesting period. And it's kind of nice to be able to look back all those years and remember how wonderful it was that happened. They're having their 80th celebration in Normandy now, and they think it's going to be the last one because the survivors are far and few between. Average age is 101 years old. So they think this is going to be it. And it was just a fantastic time. Everybody was so happy that finally we're back in France and pushed the Germans back and end World War II, which was lasting so long. And that was my memory.
Well, thank you for sharing with us. It's true. It is sad. It is sad to think that this may be the last one where you're going to have actual combatants there at the beach to commemorate it.
Well, you know, there were 16.5 million people in military in World War II, and right now there's left a little over 100,000. And these 100,000 are over 100 years old. So as you can see, next year there'll be a lot less.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I hope your listeners will enjoy my story, and it was nice talking to you. And hopefully that we'll be here for the 81st anniversary.
You will be. What was it like going to college with the greatest generation?
That was neat. That was really neat. I went to my freshman year was in 1947, and the World War II GI Bill allowed these guys to come into college, and they just joined our group, and we just became part of them, and they talked about what their experiences were. They brought such sophistication to the class, you know, and the teacher would discuss something. He said, "Oh, are you kidding? I was there. I was here. I was there." They were all over the world, and they were neat guys, and we fitted right in, the younger folks, and it was a very great experience.
The greatest generation.
Yes, sir.
Do you think that they earned that title?
I do. I do. They lived through the Depression. They started their Army career making $21 a month. They survived all that fighting, particularly in the Pacific with the Japanese, who were fight to the end. And they were heroes. They were gone 4 or 5 years, leaving their loved ones, their family. Most of them were 20 years old, 21. They were fearless, and they did a job. They were great soldiers.
Now,
and then the next generation was my generation, which was the Korean War that came up real fast. And it was interesting. They called a lot of reservists back to Korea. So we met a lot of these older guys that were in World War II, and they were part of our Army experience. They were part of our troop. Every officer I had in my division when I was in the 43rd were World War II veterans.
it's pretty amazing to think you had World War II, Korean, and then even Vietnam vets. 3 wars.
Yeah, when I went on the freedom trip to Washington, D.C., my caregiver was a Vietnam veteran. And he told me, and this is so sad, he told me when he was being discharged, his commanding officer told him not to wear his uniform in the airport because people will spit on you. Can you imagine?
No.
Yeah. And almost 60,000 of our American guys were killed in Vietnam. But that's the way it was then. Changed since 9/11. Things are a lot different. They're now respected as veterans, just like World War II in Korea.
Well, except our college kids nowadays seem to be going through their own little...
Well, there again. You know, they were born after 9/11.
I
They
know.
weren't even here before 9/11. They have no idea what's going on. They're so spoiled, it's terrible. I'm very upset with college today.
And they're going to be our future leaders.
I don't know. That's not good. Well, hopefully they'll change and mature, grow up.
Maybe we should reinstate the draft, teach them a thing or two.
Well, I think that's a great idea. The military does a lot for you. I know in Israel, everyone has to go in, and they seem to be very sophisticated. They just grow up. You know, when you're 18, you don't know anything. You go in for 3-4 years, you come out 21, 22. You start to know a little bit more about yourself, about life, about people. and you know what to do, and you do it.
Yeah, I was running a business thing one day, and there was this guy who was my counterpart. I didn't know him. I met him that day, and I'm all nervous getting this event ready and trying to make things happen. And he was as cool as a cucumber. Later, I found out that the guy is an F-16 reservist, a fighter pilot. I'm freaking out trying to run something, and to him, it's not even a, yep.
Yes, sir. They know what to do and when to do it.
Yeah. Well, grandfather, thank you for
Yes,
sharing
sir.
your story with
My
us.
pleasure. It's been great to talk to you, and I hope your audience enjoys my short.
They love it. They keep asking you to come back. You should see. You should read the
I got more
comments.
stories. We'll be happy to do that.
Maybe I'll come visit you one of these days, and we'll do it in
That would be
person.
lovely. Okay. Nice talking.
Love you.
Stay well, grandson.
Thank you.
Love you too.
Thank you, grandfather.